Hello everyone, my name is Aditya Muraleedharan Nair. I'm an intern trainee at CyberSapiens United LLP, and today in this video I will be presenting on the topic of ransomware. Now before I give you an insight about ransomware, let us look at the agenda for today's session. I will first give an introduction about ransomware attack, followed by the different types of ransomware attack, the working of ransomware attack, followed by some real-world examples of ransomware attack, the impact it creates on both users and businesses alike. And lastly, I will be concluding this session by sharing with you some of the measures that we as users and businesses must undertake to overcome a ransomware attack. Now, before looking at the different types of ransomware attack and its working, we must first ask ourselves this question: what is a ransomware attack? Well, to put it plainly, a ransomware is a type of cyber attack in which the attackers encrypt sensitive user data such as user credentials, financial information, personal information, etc., and demand a certain ransom amount in order to decrypt this data. Nowadays, ransomware attacks have become more prominent, causing damage to both individuals and organizations in different countries around the world. Now moving on to the different types of ransomware attack. Ransomware can be broadly categorized into the following types: scareware, screen lockers, ransomware encryption, DDoS extortion, mobile ransomware, doxware, and ransomware as a service. Now first let us look at scareware. Scareware is an attack in which users receive a fake warning message indicating that a malware exists within their systems, and in order to remove it, a certain ransom amount must be paid in exchange for an antivirus solution. Screen lockers. It is an attack in which the users get locked out of their system, and in order to gain access to it, they must pay a certain ransom amount. Ransomware encryption. This is also known as crypto ransomware and is the most common type of attack in which users' critical data gets encrypted, and in order to decrypt this data, a certain ransom amount must be paid. DDoS extortion. It is an attack in which attackers threaten to launch DDoS attacks on the victim's system if the ransom amount is not paid. Mobile ransomware. As the name suggests, it is an attack in which devices such as smartphones and tablets gets targeted, and ransomware groups demand a ransom amount to unlock the device or decrypt the data. Doxware. It is a sophisticated ransomware attack which threatens to publish sensitive information from the victim's computer if the ransom amount is not paid. And lastly, ransomware as a service. It involves ransomware groups offering malicious ransomware programs to other hackers around the world, which use them to target their victims. Now let us look at the working of ransomware attack. The ransomware attack works by undergoing the following phases: infection, execution, encryption, user notification, cleanup, payment, and decryption. Infection. The ransomware group is downloaded and installed on this device. After installing the malicious program, the execution phase involves scanning and mapping locations for sensitive files and folders. Next, encryption phase. After discovering the files in the execution phase, they are scrambled using the encryption key, and also access to them is locked. This key is then shared with the C2 server, that is command and control server. User notification. This phase involves the ransomware program adding instruction files detailing the payment process to be followed by the user. Cleanup. This phase involves the termination of the ransomware program, leaving only the payment instruction files. The payment phase. This involves user clicking the malicious link in the payment instructions, which redirects him to a web page indicating further details regarding the payment process. Nowadays, ransomware groups accept ransom amounts only in bitcoins. In order to ensure that the network traffic is not monitored, there are hidden Tor services running in the background for this purpose. And coming to our last phase, which is the decryption phase, this involves the victim receiving the decryption key after making the ransom payment. Now let us look at some real-world examples of ransomware attacks. Now all the attacks listed on the screen have taken place this year, targeting different sectors and systems. So first let us look at Mallox ransomware. This attack involves stealing the organization's critical data and encrypting it before threatening to publish this data as a way to lure the victim into making a ransom payment. It has prominently targeted sectors such as wholesale, retail, manufacturing, professional, and legal services. This year, the activities of this ransomware have risen by 174%. Next, coming to lockbit ransomware. It is a type of ransomware as a service in which ransomware groups have offered lockbit to different hackers around the world who then demand ransom payments from their victims. A specific portion of this received ransom amount is also given to the ransomware group. It has prominently targeted sectors such as financial services, food and agriculture, education, energy, government and emergency services, healthcare, manufacturing and transportation. And coming to our last example, Michael Kors ransomware. This is similar to the lockbit ransomware. It also follows a ransomware as a service type of attack. However, it only encrypts files of VMware hypervisors. This ransomware uses a technique known as hypervisor jackpotting while targeting VMware hypervisors, as it allows attackers to execute malicious code directly on the physical server and gain access to its underlying resources. Now let us look at the impact it creates on both users and businesses. Extended downtime. Downtime is an instance where the organization experiences less productivity because the key organizational resources required by the customers, partners, and employees to perform their duties goes offline. Reputational damage. As seen in the previous slide, Michael Kors specifically targeted companies utilizing VMware hypervisors, which resulted in a damage in their reputation, leading to loss of customers' trust in the company. Sensitive data exposure. Cyber attackers utilize data exfiltration to encourage companies to make ransom payments and also threaten to publish this sensitive data onto the dark web if ransom payments aren't received. Financial impact of ransom payments. In order to minimize ransomware payments, many organizations sought cyber insurance protection. However, companies cannot rely on insurance, especially as insurers reassess risk and adjust policy benchmarks in response to the rise in ransomware. And coming to the last point, gateway for future cyber attacks. It has become common knowledge that cyber attackers find additional vulnerabilities when they conduct initial attacks on companies' IT systems, and they are more likely to exploit these vulnerabilities when they know companies are willing to pay large ransom amounts. Now, coming to the last slide of our session, let us look at some of the measures that users and businesses must undertake to overcome a ransomware attack, or at least minimize the effect of a ransomware attack. Data backup. The data needs to be backed up in the cloud or external hard drive so that in cases of a ransomware attack where the critical files and folders gets encrypted, these backup copies can be reinstalled on the device after completing the formatting of the user's computer. Updating security software. The security software used in the organization must be updated from time to time with the latest patches. Safe surfing. The ransomware attack can be prevented if users avoid clicking on links from unknown websites and only downloading applications from trusted sources. Usage of secure networks. Public Wi-Fi must not be used to connect to the internet as it is highly insecure, and instead VPNs must be used to safely and securely connect to the internet. And coming to the last point, implementation of security awareness program. Security awareness programs must be implemented from time to time to educate employees about ransomware attacks, its risks, and how it must be avoided. These are some of the references to gain more deeper understanding about ransomware. Thank you all for your time, and I hope this session has proven helpful.